Hey guys, so welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to welcome you guys on my journey on fixing up my 1978 Honda Goldwing GL1000. As you can see, I already started tearing the bike down quite a bit. I've had it for maybe 2 or 3 months now, and I was able to get it running, but there's still a bunch of problems that we need to go through. So yeah, let's get into this. All right, so as I said in the beginning, we are going to be working on a GL1000 from 1978. The make is Honda. So yeah, I know my little workplace is a little bit messy at the moment because I haven't really focused on cleaning as much, which I should, honestly. But yeah. Anyways, so I started tearing this down, this motor, because I was thinking of replacing the one that's already in there, thinking that there was an issue. But I had this motor as a donor motor for the other one. And I took off the back side of it. And if you see, let me move this light a little bit closer. If you see inside, you can see that there is a nice chunk of metal missing right there. And knowing engines and stuff somewhat, you know that there shouldn't be a chunk of metal missing at all. So I started tearing this down because my starter on the actual bike might be like fried. So I was thinking of reusing this one as it's a little bit cleaner and it doesn't look to be in bad shape, at least from what I can see now. The engine does spin, this one, so it's not looked up, nothing. That bike starts, and I'm going to post a video on this video showing that it runs. Personal opinion, there's a bunch of things that need to be fixed, like these cables and such, and but everything does work. I disconnected the light, as when I try starting it, it does drain a lot of the battery, but everything does work. These ones on that side, and it does have the tail light and everything, but it's also taken off because it drains a lot of battery. So I'm gonna continue disassembling this and see what else I can find. Most of my problems that I've had with the actual bike itself and how I got it to run. So in the beginning, when I bought it, maybe the start of November, this bike was sitting outside with that engine as well. And the bike, we weren't able to know if the engine was locked up or not. So we just took it home and we prayed, I guess. So basically, the first issue that we had was the carburetors. Obviously, before we even decided to turn the engine over, we took the carburetors off, and it was full of rat feces and a bunch of other things. The previous owner was kind enough to take off the brakes before he let it sit for 6 years, and so it would be able to row. We changed a couple fuses because some seemed to be like they weren't working, and the fuse box is, I can take this off and show you if it's not too hard. So the fuse box is inside here. There's a little rag that we used to cool this down with, and it's this. This little box contains every single fuse that the motorcycle needs. So we changed a couple of fuses, and which were for the electrical. We put in a battery, and it came to life. All the electronics worked, everything worked. We didn't have a battery strong enough, so we didn't know if the horn worked or not. And then when we found one, it did, so that's good news. So the first thing I did was I took off the front and took off the radiator as well. And we had to take off these covers, which lead to, let me show you over here, these right here. And this basically, this is a timing belt and whatnot. And we rotated it by hand to see if it would spin freely or not. And in the process of that, it did spin freely, but not as freely as we wanted it to. So we put some lubricant in the cylinders and spin it a little bit and then let it sit for a couple of days. After that, we just let it sit, finish the carburetors over the days that we let it sit. And what are the main issues in the carburetors? Since this one came with carbs too, I can show you over here. Was that they look like this. Terribly gunky. They were all clogged up. And at the top, the piece over here, which is like, I don't remember what it's called exactly, but it wouldn't move. And this one I can show you. As you can see, there's a little cylindrical shape in the middle. And if I try pushing it, it won't move at all. Maybe if I use a screwdriver, maybe. But let's try here. Not even with a screwdriver. Ooh, that's bad. Okay. Well, yeah. So these carburetors are pretty bad. These weren't as bad. Some did move freely, some didn't. I took it apart, cleaned it up, put it back in there, put some new gas in it. We tried running 81, but it wasn't the best. So we went for 93 or 95, and then it did spark to life. It ran pretty good for a little bit. It idles roughly at around 900 to 1,000, but it doesn't, after quite a few days of just starting it, letting it run for like maybe 10-15 minutes and letting it stay there so it can clean the gunk up or whatever out of the cylinders, we noticed that it wasn't starting, or it wasn't trying to ignite, and that is because of this thing right here. So this basically is what sends sparks to the spark plugs, which are over here. And what it does is every little contact sends a spark to the cylinders. And we noticed that one of them was just consistently touching, and it didn't want to start, it didn't want to fire, nothing. We have an issue with one cylinder that does not want to ignite whatsoever. And that is, I think it's this one. The other two do. This one does, and this one doesn't. So what we did is we didn't even do anything. That's still an ongoing issue at the moment. Other than that, everything works. The gauges work. They were cleaned up. These gauges are off a 79, which was the donor bike because the previous owner gave us a bunch of extra parts. And yeah, so the next thing that has gone bad with that I realized at least was the fuel pump. So the fuel pump is this mechanism right here. It sits right here, and basically this is where it reads how many revolutions per minute, so the RPM. It connects a wire here, this sits here, and it spins, and it sits in this direction like this. This creates a suction that lets it travel through these. As you can see, they are pretty gunky, and the fuel wouldn't go through. So these ones still need to be cleaned up, so we have a nice, decent working fuel pump. So yeah, other than that, the bike runs, and it sounds pretty nice for only running on 3 cylinders, but I'm just trying to get it in the working condition so we can get this baby on the road. Now for the real quest. I have to take this off and then get to the chain and take off the chain so I can get to the starter motor. Take that off completely, unless I might just flip the engine around and see if I can take it off another way without damaging anything. And yeah, after that we will take off the sides and just check the internals of the engine to see if we can spare any parts. This is a 999cc flat 4. Honda was going to make a flat 6, but they decided that the flat 4 was going to be easier to work with. It generates around 76 horsepower, somewhere around there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, so let's get to it. Okay, so after watching a couple videos, I realized that no people disassembling these type of engines do not start taking this part off until these sides are off. And to get these sides off, we're gonna have to take off the water pump system. And yeah, so let's get into that part. As you can see, I just took the valve cover off, and I'm pretty sure, hoping that these bolts are the only next thing that I need to take off. But just to let the oil get off a little bit in the meantime as I take off the top. As you guys can see, I finally got it off. I still need to disconnect these little connectors over here so I can fully separate it. But just checking down here, doesn't seem like there's anything there. I can see that where the spark plugs go, there's a bit of leaves. And that's where the valves go. And that does not look too promising. This one looks better. Check the other side. This one looks fine, and this one looks fine. So we only have one. There's no gunk in there. And just a bunch of leaves and some rocks in there. I don't know if you guys can see or not. Let me try and get a better. Yeah. So let's continue with this. The next step is to try these bolts right here. Let's see if I can get those on. I think there's 4, yeah. Pretty sure they might be a size 14 or if not 17. So yeah. So I got the screws off, right? Pretty interesting. Never seen a screw like this before. So I realized that I have to take the belts off. So to remove the tensioner and then continue taking this apart. Yeah. So pretty sure we're just gonna stick to doing one side today. Maybe if I have enough time, I'll get to the other. But yeah. Okay, so this engine sitting in outside, right? It's sitting with the bike, but the bike was easier to work on for whatever reason. And getting this off is one of the hardest things I've ever tried to take off in my life, if I'm being completely honest. I've tried using a mallet. I've tried using an actual hammer, but like the mallet, I didn't want to hit it too hard because I didn't want to damage it at all. But I figured that I saw a little crack because it was big enough to fit a flathead. So now, after a couple more hits, might be able to just. Ooh. Oh. Try it. Now this is the part where I'm just gonna jam that in there real good. It's kind of hard using one hand to film, but okay. Okay, wait. I'm gonna stop recording and I'll be right back. All right, better setup this time. Never mind. Basically got it though. Just give me a couple. That should come off now. Just like a couple of tugs. Oh no, it won't. It's so. Okay, so as you can see right there, that's where it like links up. So you need to start prying it all over. Even from the bottom side, so I'm gonna start doing that. Be right back. All right, so if I'm being completely honest here, I thought this was gonna be more promising, but turns out I might just be mistaken. See if we can rotate this a little bit if I might. It's very oily. So when you get that cleaned up, and I'll show you guys it moving a little bit. All right, so as you can see, it's the gunk in there. It pushes it right to the top and right back down. This side's a little bit better, but still not the best. As you can see, the scratch marks right here. The cylinder walls are all pretty good, eh? They're not even that bad. This cylinder is terrible. It's probably the worst one of the four. I haven't even taken the other side off. And this one is not looking promising at all. I don't like the wear on that, but we must continue. Okay. All right. Now we got that off. I'm gonna figure out what everything does here. It smells terrible, but I don't really have a way to see inside. It's a cheap flashlight I bought. Cost me about $1. But you can see inside they're pretty good, and it doesn't even look that bad. But yeah, this gasket's pretty much done. So if I ever wanted to rebuild this, need to replace that. First thing. Second thing, I was looking at the hole. Oh, no, my flashlight again. That I found over here on this side, and honestly, it might be able to just run, based on the fact that this wouldn't really affect anything unless there's a little metal piece flaking around in there. Then that would be like catastrophic. But other than that, there isn't much of an issue. If we find that piece and we can get this thing running again, hopefully then there's no more internal damage done by that metal piece. Rust isn't the biggest of worries right now, but for now we're just gonna leave this the way it is. I was thinking of either polishing it, like cleaning it up, and then maybe getting it painted, like a nice black or matte black. I don't know. We'll have to see, guys. That's most of it done. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. It's going to be part one of a many-part series. The rebuild of a Honda Goldwing GL1000. So much left to do. So much left to learn. And hopefully you guys will learn something too. Thanks for watching.